Good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 8 o'clock on the dot on a Wednesday morning. Rise and shine, rise and shine. Good morning to you. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. Again today, expecting impact weather for Central Florida from about 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Showers and thunder showers. Some good heavy downpours again. Could be talking about some stronger storms. Could even be talking about some flooding rains. It's not the exact same setup that we had yesterday with all those storms, but it's another opportunity to get some feistier cells, we'll just say, in there. So, yeah, get ready for it. We'll talk more about the impact weather, of course, coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. But first, let's look and see how we're doing this morning. And our moment of Zen takes us over to Port Canaveral. Look at that. You've got in the foreground one of the ships. In the background, is that like a rocket under a tent? Or I don't know what it is. Either way, you've got the palm tree. This is a beautifully framed tower cam. I don't know which one of my colleagues in the back set this shot, but the nerd photographer heart in me is absolutely all on board with it. First warning, live Doppler radar. Quiet over top of you and I, right? There are some downpours off the shoreline. Let's just kind of move the camera over a little bit. Let's loop this, and you can see some of those heavier downpours, right? For now, they're staying off the shoreline, which is certainly good news. We don't need anything to bother us on a morning commute. But here we are, right? Temperatures out the door, 80 already in Melbourne. It's 77 in Orlando, 73 degrees in Ocala. And looking ahead to the forecast today, yes, again, we've got those storms firing up. Lunchtime, about a 20% coverage of rain, 30% coverage 1 p.m., and a 50 to 60% coverage of afternoon showers and thunder showers today. And there's that impact weather there. That's when the stuff will be feisty, right? So there you go, my friends. Belinda says that storm in Winter Garden. Wow. Yeah, there were some storms. Listen, yesterday, there were some storms. Those puppies. It's not every day. And while we're talking about this, let me just pull up some of the rainfall totals here. I'll pop back the radar. We'll do rainfall totals. That's 12-hour. We can change that because that's just through 8 o'clock. Let's go to 24-hour. All right. Like, it's not often you get a flash flood warning in our area, but that's exactly what we got. Look at what Doppler radar is showing. I mean, areas with 6 inches of rain. Yeah, it says rainfall today. Ignore the word today. That's yesterday's rain. Look at that, 4.5 at Lake Lotta. Where is Lake Lotta Towers? I've lived in this area my entire up cities. I'm just like, wait, what? So anyway, Gotha 3.5, Lake Butler 2. We're doing good when it comes to our overall like rainfall deficits, right? For example, this shouldn't be a surprise here, but the Keach-Byram Drought Index looking great for the metro. Now, Marion, Sumter counties, believe it or not, your soil is still pretty dry. Now, I do think that we're going to get a little bit better these next couple of days. But yeah, out west, we're still a little bit drier. Sandra's asking, is there a scientific explanation for storms occurring primarily in the afternoons? Absolutely. First off, great question. I don't know. I'm just looking through here. I'm looking to see if we've got... No. Okay. So this is the setup. This is why we get afternoon thunderstorms in Florida. Think of and we'll go deep dive into our forecast for today, but Sandra had asked a question, and I think it's a great question. So essentially, think of this as the water cycle. It's the water cycle that you learned as a kid. Warm air rises, And as warm air rises, moisture is pulled with it. Condensation, or excuse me, evaporation, condensation into clouds, and then precipitation. So warm air rises. So as the peninsula heats up, remember, land heats up, and you've got to step back and look at it with this view. You've got to take a look at the forest through the trees. The land heats up during the day. As that warm air is rising, you need to bring other air in at the surface. And that's where the sea breezes begin on either coastline, coming in from the Gulf and coming in from the Atlantic. And as that happens, those sea breezes make baby cold fronts. And those cold fronts eventually collide over our area. And as those cold fronts move in, they're like piling up moisture, piling up moisture. And then when they collide, they explode those big thunderstorms. Okay. This is perhaps the most oversimplified way to explain it, but I do think that at least if you don't understand it, it's important to understand it. I think it's a really great lesson, because what you end up with is when you look at the radar, and I'm going to pull up my Twitter. Eric Burris Wesh. I think it's important to know, because when you start pulling up radar data, especially, I say to you all the time, it's important. I'm not even going to look at the radar, but it's important that when you look at the radar, if you go to the Wesh 2 mobile app, like I suggest you do, and you use our single site radar, it gives you the opportunity to recognize where the sea breeze boundaries are, where the outflow boundaries are. And then as you're looking at those things, as you're recognizing those things, it gives you the chance to know where the storms are going to collide and where they're going to get feisty, feisty, feisty. And we were looking at that a mile away yesterday. I mean, it really was as clear as day. Really, really was. So let's look at Futurecast. Let's get an idea at what it's saying for today. All right. So here's Futurecast. This is just long range, normal Futurecast. So notice by 1:30, 2 o'clock, we're starting up the sea breeze stuff, right? So to that point, East Coast gets the rain first. And if you look here, you can clearly see the East Coast sea breeze lining the East Coast, piling up moisture. And if you look on the West Coast, you can see that West Coast sea breeze lining up, piling up moisture. Why does one move more than another on different days? Let me step away from Futurecast for just a moment, and let's look at today's forecast again, okay? Look on the very top, okay? This afternoon, great. Let's go a little bit below that. This is what I want you to focus on. The wind out of the east-southeast at 5 to 10. So think about it. The West Coast sea breeze is going to be pushing against an east-southeast breeze. So the West Coast is going to be pinned a little bit, whereas the wind will be helping the East Coast sea breeze move a little bit more. So once that happens, we're going to have the opportunity to push so the East Coast will move more than the West Coast. The West Coast will end up kind of pinned. Okay. So what you'll end up with is this is the way we forecast. God's honest truth. This is the way we forecast this time of year. We move that East Coast sea breeze further in, and thus it gives us the opportunity to move everything across to the West Coast. So let's get back over to Futurecast. Okay. All right. Let's do the thing. And no need to look at me. Futurecast, I think, is the more important asset here, wouldn't you say? I would think so. All right. So we'll bring Futurecast full screen. Don't need to see my ugly mug. And my speed, my bandwidth isn't exactly great this morning either. I only have so much control over things, right? All right. So let's roll through time. So around lunchtime is when things are going to start trying to get a little feistier, right? There's 11. We'll continue it through 12, 1 o'clock. And you can see there's 2:30 starting to get the colors showing on up. Nothing, nothing too intense, but getting into 3, 4 o'clock, we're starting working in the metro. There's the oranges, there's the reds, right? That's where we're going to start to get all the feisty stuff, right? Continuing it forward, working. Eventually, everything wants to hug out west. That's going to be today's focal point, right? There's 5 p.m. storms in our western areas, right? And then eventually it just kind of continues to drag its way little by little over to the west coast, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then into the evening time frame, 7, 8 o'clock, kind of raining itself out, 9, 10, getting a bit weaker. So that's the overall setup. So when we look at today as a whole, in terms of rain chances, right, we can kind of see where is the peak rain going to be. Yeah, it's going to be in our western areas. That's where everything's going to eventually want to pile up today. All right. So does that make sense? Does that kind of make sense for you today? All right. Sandra says, thanks for the detailed explanation of the afternoon rains. I finally get it. Excellent. It's one of those things, right, that you could live here your entire life, but if you don't take that little opportunity to dial into it, then how do you know? And I love teaching it. I love teaching our complex. This is a rain machine that we live in, and so I love teaching it. And so I appreciate you. Debbie says, you're saying maybe it's the stronger wind that determines the collision and its course for the storms. It's not maybe does that determine it, but rather it's whatever direction the wind is stronger, that sea breeze is going to get a backing wind and is going to push more, right? So yeah, to that point, if the West Coast sea breeze is heading into a headwind, which it is, then it's not going to move as fast or as far. If the winds are quiet, the sea breeze is going to go right over top of the metro. Jamie Lopez, you're pixelating. Internet, it comes, it goes. It is going to be what it is. Ari says, I didn't understand sea breezes until I moved to Florida. In meteorology class, we forecasted for 4 cities, one being Jacksonville. I did terribly, but I was number 1 for Cheyenne, Wyoming, because I grew up in the Midwest. Go figure. Well, it's a more synoptic-based weather out there, whereas this is a more meso-scale kind of forecasting. So it's a completely different forecasting technique, for lack of a better term, So anyway, for today, we've got the storms in the forecast. What's the threat idea for us? Okay. The Storm Prediction Center has not placed us under any kind of a severe threat. But again, today, just like yesterday, heavy torrential downpours, our biggest idea of concern. And then, of course, the straight line damaging winds. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. D-Rod says, so afternoon storms develop in a similar way to an old school coffee percolator makes coffee. Yeah, warming and cool. It's all about the water cycle. And I love, because when we look at our weather in Florida, you will not find a better example of the water cycle. And so when I talk to kids, it's like, think about it. We get these storms daily. It is the water. There is no other way to put it. It is the water cycle in its most truest, which that's kind of cool. Like when you think about it, that's kind of nifty. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. I've been called worse or better. I don't know. So yeah, we had flash flood warnings yesterday. You don't get those very often in our area. You just don't. And that's a testament to the kind of moisture that we had in place. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. All right, so let's do this. Let's look at the 7-day forecast. Let's dial it up and get an idea. Again today, ample opportunity for showers and storms. There's going to be a lot of energy in play. We've got a 60% coverage of showers and storms today. Like yesterday, it's going to be active. It's going to be intense, very heavy stuff. Yeah, gotta love it. Tomorrow, same idea. Now, it does look like a little Saharan dust tries to sneak in. Later this week, it'll drop the rain chances into early next week just a little bit. But essentially, my friends, somebody asked earlier, and I didn't get a chance to comment on it, but somebody had asked, like, are we in the rainy season? And it's like, yeah, I mean, this is it. This is your rainy season. We're there. Daily showers and storms, the whole thing. Matt says afternoon storms are the best. I love it. I love it. Always fun. Yep. All right. Questions, comments, concerns about our local forecast. Then we can move on. We can take a look at the tropics. Ooh, what's going on out there? Oliver, my water cycle starts at night and precipitates in Jesus. You're a pain. Get out of here. All right. So that's our inland 7-day forecast. High storm coverage next couple of days and then tapering off just a little bit. For my friends that live along the coastline, we've got you covered as well. Your 7-day forecast showing a pretty even keel setup. If anything, this weekend may want to give a few additional storms along the coastline. Nothing crazy, but we see it there. So, keep that in mind. This weekend may throw a little bit of extra ketchup on the fries, we'll say, right? All right. Are we good locally before we move on? Questions, comments, concerns? You have the floor, people, before we move on to the tropics. Yeah. So it's hot, rainy daily, then repeat. Got it, Tara says. Yup, that's about right. That's about right. Bring on the cold front sometimes accompanies the rain. Well, yeah, but we don't have cold fronts doing their thing. So, yeah. All right. We good? Let's go out to the tropics. There are things to track in the Pacific Basin. You've got post-tropical system Barbara, and you've got tropical storm Cosme will eventually become a tropical depression. Excuse me. And then two other areas of interest as the CAG machine continues. So the Pacific remaining nice and active, whereas the Atlantic remaining nice and quiet. Let's switch over. I got to type the button. Stand by. Where's that? There we are. Here in the Atlantic Basin, looking around, you've got some areas of cloudiness, a couple of little waves out over the Atlantic, but there are no areas of expected development over the next 7 days' time. So that's excellent news. Now let's do this. Let's dial up the raw computer model data and let's just see. Let's just chime in and see what the GFS is cooking today. All right, rolling and rolling. Rolling. All right, high pressure, little CAG. Going into the Pacific. Look at you, GFS. I'm so proud. You're putting it in the Pacific. Is the GFS not throwing out a GFS-a-cane? Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, GFS. Look at you. The GFS not throwing out a GFS-a-cane. Very nice. Look at that. All right, nice and quiet. All right, let's look over at the European. I'm so proud of you, GFS. I knew you could do it. I knew you could do it. All right, European. Let's see. Anything here? We'll look at the model or the ensembles too. Don't you worry. You have to go from the 6Z to the 0Z to be able to go far enough out on the Euro because it doesn't go long. Now, there's something interesting right here. Look at the 18th. Look in this. I know you guys are going to, he said it, drink. Look, this is Wednesday, June 18th. Look in the southern bay of Campeche. Right there. You see that? It's like a sneaky little low. You see that? Interesting. Oh my God, he said it. All right, let's roll. Euro trying to throw together a broad area of low pressure there off the east coast of Florida around the 22nd. And that's it. All right. So nothing crazy. All right. Let's go over to the Euro AI because it's here. And we might as well. I'm watching those little features that I saw. Again in the southern bay of Campeche. Look at that around the 18th. A little sneaky something. A little sneaky. A little sneaky. What are you in the Caribbean? You see that in the bottom? Nothing strong, but a little something. What are you doing down there? Okay. All right. Nothing crazy. All right. Let's look at the ensembles. GFS ensemble. Stand by. Bring you to the beginning. All right. Oh, get out of here. 12th, 13th. Ensembles, by the way, it's 30 different flavors of the GFS and 50 different flavors of the Euro. They're better to use than the deterministic model, but there's some GFS support for something around the Bay of Campeche around the 18th. Okay, the Euro was showing it, so having to watch around there. What you doing? Okay, we'll keep watching. So that's it for the GFS, though. Thankfully, the GFS has gone and calmed itself. Look at you, GFS, growing up in front of us. I am so proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing, GFS. You are evolving. Look at you. I'm proud of you. So there's some CAG stuff in the Pacific. Okay, let's switch over from the 6Z to the 0Z so we can go a little further out. There's at least one member trying to do something in there. Okay. Two members. Looks like there's two members trying to develop low pressure along the Texas-Mexico coastline there. All right. I mean, not 2 out of 50. You know what I mean? Like, don't take that to the bank crazily, but something to watch around the 18th, 20th, and then the Euro ensemble. There's a what is it, one or two? Literally, there's one ensemble member that's developing an area of low pressure around the Big Bend around the 26th. One out of 50. So not a significant concern. So a couple areas to watch. Nothing significant, and we certainly like that. So for now, the tropics remain quiet. The next 7 days, the tropics remain nice and quiet. So love that. All right. That said, the tropics remain quiet. Our local forecast remains stormy. We got our things. That sounds like you need to record your voice for some morning affirmations. If Snoop Dogg did it, you can too. Good morning. I want you to know you're worth it. You do great today. It's going to be a hard day at times, but I know you can tackle it with grace and dignity and strength and vigor. Oh boy. All right. So that's where we're at. Good times. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? We looking good? Drink, drank, drunk. Campeche. Yep, that's it. All the things. Chester Dog says, good news. Nice and quiet for now. We'll take that for the time being. Yeah, it's like don't wake the beast. Let it do its thing. It'll wake itself up. We don't need to encourage it. Yeah, because you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. I'd give that a solid 4 out of 5 on the believable scale. Yeah, I'll sell like voicemails like, hi, you've reached Kelly's voicemail. Sorry, a member of our team can't come to the phone right now, but please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and a team member will call you back. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. D-Rod on YouTube says it's Weather Groundhog Day from June 1st to October. Yeah, kind of is. Good old rainy season. Speaking of which, we were talking about the tropics here on Coffee Talk. So today is the WESH 2 hurricane meetings. It's a meeting where the team, everybody on staff at WESH comes in and we all chat. I'm curious though. So we're doing a newsroom. Oh, I guess it's in the community room upstairs. Anyway, Tony kind of talks about hurricanes. I talk about the long range forecast, and we kind of take everybody through. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're getting all of our team, because we have new colleagues that have not done hurricane season yet. So we want to make sure even the experienced ones know exactly what to expect. So that's what we take care of. Yep. Yep. Did I see Tony yesterday? Yeah, I worked with Tony. Yeah. You can record my voicemail message for me. I'll hire you to tell people to go away. Hi, you've reached Kelly's cell phone. We don't want to talk to you. If we did, we would have answered the phone. So you can leave a voicemail, but just understand it will be deleted before listened to. Don't waste your time. Thanks for calling. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? We good? You good? Rose, you good? Thank you. David, good morning. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Anna, good morning to you. Dealing with a what, Tiffany? I don't even know what that is. Oh, colicky. Thank you. Oh boy, I'm sorry to hear that. That's tough. Matt is asking, do the new people at WESH get a hard hat and a can of tuna to haze them for hurricane? We don't haze our colleagues. Maybe if it was like a tiny television station, but we want to be professional. We want to support our colleagues. So yeah. All right. That's all I've got. Y'all have anything else to add? Anything? No, we don't haze our colleagues. Gee, what do you think this is? Hazing. I mean, will tease them a little bit. I remember the first storm of Kellyanne's first storm. I told her I was not going to leave her out to dry, and then Alexander was born, and I left her out to dry. That wasn't hazing though. Andrea's saying, hoping for good weather Friday night for a date at Disney Springs. I'll hope for the same for you. Yeah, Jamie Lopez, thank you for keeping us informed. Absolutely my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. All right, that's all I've got for you, people. Good enough for another UCF first down? All right, it's 8:29. I've got those meetings to attend to today. I've got WESH 2 noon and 4. We got a party. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I will see you guys and gals on WESH 2 News at noon and 4. And of course, for Coffee Talk tomorrow morning. Sound good? Take care. Bye.